If you want to build a content engine that brings you clients on autopilot, I'm going to show you the most underrated strategy in the game right now. Because the truth is, most business owners have been told to do one of two things for content. One of them is a nightmare to produce, and the other one is almost impossible to grow an audience around. Now, I've spent years helping coaches, consultants, and service providers crack this exact problem. And there's one strategy that eliminates the downsides of both while keeping all the benefits. It's honestly the biggest content opportunity I've ever seen, but almost nobody's taking full advantage of it yet. Coming up, I'll show you what this underrated content type is and why it's such a massive opportunity right now, the brand new hack you can use with it to grow your audience much faster, and the massive mistake you want to avoid with this strategy because it can completely undo all the good parts. If you're a business owner who sells what you know, the perfect content strategy would need to do three things. One, it has to go deep enough to build real trust. You're selling your expertise here, not whatever this is. And people need to spend real time with you before they're gonna hand over thousands of dollars. So short little clips aren't really gonna cut it on their own. Two, it has to be easy enough that you can actually keep up with it. So if it takes 20 hours a week to make, you're gonna burn out or quit. Three, it has to have a built-in way to reach new people without spending a ton on ads or grinding on social media every day. So these are your three boxes to check. The problem is, even the best performing content types usually only give you one or two. So let's take a look at where the best options fall short, and then I'm gonna show you the new way you can use to get all three. First, let's talk about long-form YouTube videos, starting with the good. Every day, people who are this close to spending money are searching YouTube for how to solve their problems. They're looking for answers, comparing options, trying to figure out who they can trust. And when they find your video, YouTube pays attention. It looks at who that person is, what else do they watch, what else do they care about, and then it starts showing your stuff to more people just like them. People who haven't even thought to search yet. The algorithm does the prospecting for you. And video builds trust pretty fast. People see your face, your body language, your energy. So when someone watches 20 or 30 minutes of you explaining something, they start to feel like they know you.
Smart.
So trust and discovery, YouTube nails both of them. Here's the problem though. Most people think that YouTube videos need fancy gear, a cool background to shoot in, and all the editing tricks to keep people watching. So they spend all this money and time on videos, and they either quit after a month or they never even start. YouTube is amazing, but for most busy experts, it's hard to keep up with. So that's two boxes checked, one empty. But what about my other favorite content type? Podcasts are the opposite. Easy to make, you just need a decent mic, hit record, and talk. No visuals to worry about, no complex editing. You can easily batch a whole month of episodes in one afternoon. And they go pretty deep too. An hour-long episode where you're really unpacking a topic is gonna build trust with your listeners. So trust and ease, podcasts nail those. Here's where it all falls apart. Discoverability. Podcast platforms just don't have an algorithm that pushes your content out to new people. It works more like a library, honestly. Your episodes just sit there on a shelf waiting for someone who already knows about your show to go and search for it. So it's really hard to grow a podcast. Trust me, I've done a couple myself. So YouTube gets you discovered, but it's hard to do. Podcasts are easy to do, but nobody's gonna find you. But when you combine both formats into a video podcast, then publish it to YouTube, Spotify, and all the other podcast platforms, you check all three boxes. First, it solves the distribution problem of those traditional audio podcasts because remember how YouTube works. Its algorithms actively looking for new viewers to push your content to, and it's showing your videos to people who are really likely to care about your topic, even if they've never heard your name before. And get this, YouTube's now the #1 platform for podcast consumption. 39% of weekly podcast listeners use YouTube to do it. That's more than Spotify and Apple combined. But it gets better. You're not limited to just YouTube. You post the same video to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all the other major podcast platforms, and most of the big ones do support video now. And Spotify in particular is pushing video podcasts really hard. So just check out my Spotify screen here. It kind of works like YouTube, showing me things that they think I'll like, even if I've never listened to that show before. But the catch is they really only do this with video podcasts. So you're not choosing one platform over another, you're everywhere at once with the same recording. Now let's talk about the difficulty factor. So this is where most people get really tripped up with YouTube, thinking they need all the bells and whistles. And for traditional YouTube content, maybe, but for a video podcast, none of that's necessary. You don't need a word-for-word script here. An outline generally will work just fine. You don't need crazy editing or cutaway shots. Viewers are completely forgiving of a casual conversational setup when the information is valuable. And you can record a 15 to 60 minute episode in one sitting with pretty minimal editing afterward. That's the magic here. You're not spending hours on pre or post-production. You're just talking, sharing your expertise the way you already do with clients, and then you're done. But what exactly is a video podcast? How is it actually different from a regular YouTube video? Honestly, not that much. You're still just talking to a camera. The main difference is it's built to work just as well if someone's only listening. So think less visual, more conversational. You don't really need to rely on graphics or B-roll to keep people watching, just what you're actually saying. And no, a video podcast doesn't have to look like this, or this. You don't need the studio set up with the fancy mic bolted to the desk. It can look like any of these videos and still be considered a video podcast. Length is pretty flexible too. You're not Joe Rogan. You don't have to go for 3 hours at a time. But you can go deeper if you want, up to like an hour or so. And the biggest reason for that is more and more people are watching YouTube on their TVs now. And they're already using it to listen to their podcasts. They want something to settle into, right? Something to sit back and watch or put on in the background while they do other stuff around the house. But shorter podcast episodes can work too. It should just be more about making each episode the right length for the topic you're covering, and that'll happen pretty naturally. So we've got easy production and real distribution, but it actually gets even better than that because you're not just making one piece of content here. You're creating a content waterfall that feeds every platform from a single recording. Think about it. You sit down, you record one video podcast episode, maybe it's 30 minutes, maybe it's an hour, and from that one session, you can generate content for everywhere your clients could possibly find you. First, the full episode goes on YouTube, obviously. That's your highest leverage place where the algorithm does the heavy lifting of finding new viewers for you. Then you take that same video and you upload it once over to Spotify, which then pushes it out to Apple Podcasts and pretty much all the other platforms for you, including the video wherever that's supported. But then you can use AI to chop that episode into really short clips, like 15 to 90 seconds each. These are like the quick little hits within the episode that make sense on their own. And AI is actually pretty good at figuring what those bits are, then adding captions and all the cool stuff. Then those go on, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, even like Facebook and LinkedIn, you name it. And this part can be 100% automated with AI, so you don't have to take any extra time out of your day to push these out absolutely everywhere. And the cool thing is podcasts that do this step see about 65% more reach on average. And I guess that's just because those short clips work kind of like movie trailers, right? They hook new people in and they pull some of them back to your full episodes. And here's a bonus that most people have forgotten about. So you can also use AI to get your episode transcribed and turned into a blog post for your website. That's going to feed into AI SEO. So you know how people are using ChatGPT and Google's AI and even Perplexity to find answers to their questions, and they're even asking them about what businesses to work with now. So when someone asks a question in your area of expertise, your content can be the thing that pops up in AI, but only if you've actually made something that those systems can pull from. So one single recording becomes a YouTube video, a podcast on every platform, a dozen short clips for social media, and fuel for AI search. That is how you leverage the time you put into this. Now, I am going to share the brand new YouTube feature that you can use today to grow your new show really fast. But first, I want to show you an example of a real video podcast that's getting a real business more clients. This is Jennifer Fugo. She's a clinical nutritionist with a video podcast called The Healthy Skin Show. She launched it on YouTube and the major podcast apps, and within 6 months, she went from 0 to 20,000 views and listens per month. That podcast 10x'd her coaching income in the first 6 months. She even raised her prices a few times and still had a wait list. And look how simple this setup is. You could definitely do something like this. Today, she's well past 1 million downloads, but here's the number that actually matters. 80% of her new clients come straight from her video podcast audience. Now, you might be thinking, isn't this gonna look cheap without all the fancy editing? Honestly, no, you're not competing with Call Her Daddy or Theo Von here. You're not making entertainment for the masses. The people you actually want watching care about one thing. Does this help me solve my problem? If the answer is yes, they're not going anywhere. And something to remember here, a video podcast is a broad format. It's not a limitation on what you can talk about. You can still cover, any topic within the format. So FAQ episodes, how-tos, lists, strategy breakdowns, deep dives, all of it works. You're just delivering it in a way that's easy to produce and gets in front of people. And speaking of getting discovered, don't sleep on search. Title your episodes with the actual words people are typing into YouTube or into Spotify when they're looking for help. The questions they're asking, the problems they're trying to solve. So something like how to write the perfect resume is going to get found through search. The career hack you're not using won't. Titles like that are clever, but nobody's typing that into a search bar. And we still have the new hack to get to that's going to grow your show fast. But first, we need to talk about what you actually need to start a video podcast. First, you need a camera, right? And for most people, that's just gonna be your smartphone. Honestly, if you've got a phone from the last 5 years or so, you've got a camera that's good enough. Second, you need a decent microphone. Audio quality matters way more than video quality because people will forgive a low-res video, but bad sound, that makes people leave a lot faster, and your laptop or your smartphone's microphone, that's gonna be pretty bad. So the Blue Yeti is a solid, inexpensive option, but I happen to have the Rode Podcaster. It's like $200 with the stand, so I use that whenever I do more of a podcast episode. Third, you want consistent lighting. So it doesn't need to be fancy. A ring light works just fine. A big window with natural light works just fine. The key is really just making sure that your face is clearly visible and not hidden in the shadows, right? Honestly, good lighting makes a bigger difference than a good camera does in how your picture's gonna look. That's basically it for solo episodes. Phone, mic, light. You don't need a fancy setup. Just look at these guys. They're all getting real views from real leads. So start today with whatever space you already have. Now, if you're gonna be interviewing people remotely, which is gonna come up for the growth hack that I'm about to show you, I would recommend using something like Riverside. And the reason is that Riverside records each person locally on their own computer. So instead of recording a choppy Zoom call, you get really clean, high quality footage from both sides of the conversation. But even something like this isn't expensive or complicated to set up. All right, I promised you a hack that you can use to grow your audience way faster than you ever could before. And it's all about using YouTube's new collaboration feature in a really specific way. Here's how it works. So step one, you invite another YouTube creator who's in your niche to be a guest on your show. Someone who has a decent sized audience. It could be a few thousand subscribers, could be tens of thousands, doesn't have to be massive. The key is that their audience actually matches who you'd want watching your channel. If their main viewers aren't potential clients for you, the whole strategy falls apart. Step two is you interview them, or you just have a conversation about a topic and you record it on Riverside or whatever. All right, next is where the real magic happens. So when you upload the video to YouTube, you invite your guest as a collaborator on that video. That means you and your channel get all the views, you get all the watch time. It lives on your channel, not theirs. But this is the best part. YouTube is gonna push that video out to their audience too. Their subscribers and regular watchers are gonna see it in their feed being recommended to them. So you're essentially borrowing their audience for that one episode. Now, there are a few critical details you need to get right to make this actually work. First, remember, your channel needs to be the primary channel that actually uploads the video and schedules it. They're just the collaborating channel. Second, you have to use their face on the thumbnail. So check out this example from The Charlie Johnson Show. This episode features Ed Lawrence in the thumbnail, and you can see he actually added him as a collaborator. And look what happened here. This number means this video got 37 times the views that his videos get on average. But if Ed's audience doesn't see him in the thumbnail, they're not going to click on this because they don't know this guy yet. But when one of their viewers watches your video, YouTube takes note of that. The algorithm sees that this person engaged with your video. And now YouTube might start recommending your other videos to that person too, even the ones without that guest, because now they're in your orbit. So think about how this could snowball if you were to do this strategy once a month as part of your regular content lineup. Each collab episode introduces you to new relevant audiences that might actually buy from you. This is genuinely the best growth hack available to you as a business right now. But, and I have to warn you about this, there is a massive mistake that can completely undermine this whole strategy. In fact, it can undo everything we've talked about in this video. Here's the mistake. People hear video podcast and think, cool, I'll just interview guests every week. They do the talking, I ask the questions, way less prep for me. But here's the problem. When you do that, the guest becomes the expert. They're the one dropping the knowledge. They're the one the audience is impressed by. You're just the middleman holding their microphone. If every episode's you interviewing someone else about their genius, where does that leave you exactly? When the audience needs help, they're gonna just think of the guest who blew their mind, not the host who was asking the questions. So here's what I would do instead. Limit those guest episodes to just the ones where you're using the collaboration hack, because those are strategic. You're tapping into their audience. But even then, don't just sit back. Be an active participant here. Add your perspective and your opinions. Make it a real conversation, not just a softball interview. And the rest of the time, just do solo episodes where you're the one bringing the good stuff. That's where you're gonna build real authority. And honestly, it's just like doing a talking head video. Don't get tripped up that it's supposed to be a podcast. But if solo isn't really your thing, co-host with either a business partner if you have one, or someone who serves a similar audience, but who isn't a competitor. So for instance, like a financial planner might host with a life insurance broker, right? A dog trainer could host with a vet. You just collaborate on every episode and you both grow together. The key is that you stay in that expert seat. You're not just a host, you're the reason people tune in. Now I've got 5 more content strategies that are quietly taking over in 2026, and I break all of them down in this video right here, including one that's so controversial, you may love it, or it might even make you a little upset to hear it. So click here to see all 5 and decide for yourself. So I'll see you there in a second.